Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Jinning with Jean podcast. My name is Katie and I'm the host of Jinning with Jean. Now friends, I gotta be honest, since the intro trailer I uploaded, Pilates is no longer a burning interest and something I actively participate in anymore. In fact, I'm actually probably just going to cancel my gym membership. I know, I'm a fraud, cough has locked me up, but no, the thinking is pre-season for footy starts up next week. And that's 2 nights a week. Plus, I'm also telling myself I'm going to go for a run a couple of days a week. But I'll keep you guys updated on that one. I'm going to start by talking about a book I just finished, like literally last night. It's called The Courage to be Disliked. And it's really made me reconsider and look at things from a whole new light. With main reference to Adlerian psychology, it helps grasp concepts of moving through life in such a way that it has the individual truly believing that happiness and change are always possible, literally from the second you consider either of them, and have the courage to. Other key points also include that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems, and the idea of teology over ateology. I'm probably butchering both of those words, but to be fair, this is just an amazing book, and truthfully, it's only the second book that I've ever read as an adult, probably in like at least 15 years, could be longer. And the first book that I've read as an adult was literally like, it's been within the last month. Yeah, it's an excellent read and kind of fuels my, burning desire to get a bit more heavily into psychology and, bit of philosophy and things like that, because that's something that I'm majorly interested in right now, but also have previously been interested in it, and also in the future I want to keep learning and growing and learning from this sort of thing. So I can definitely touch more on that book as we go along, because I thought it was fantastic and just really made me realise some things in my life, like where I was feeling stuck was because I was focusing too much on an end goal versus what I'm currently doing right now that can actually just make my life, happy and fulfilling and still achieve that goal in maybe a different sense. But I'll touch on that later in the episode. I just thought I would let you guys know about that book that I've read, which I quite enjoyed. So I'll also mention my new revelation as of late. So my newest revelation is that on my walk the other day with my friend, it wasn't until I was like catching her up on what I'd been up to the last month or two that she helped me realise that I've been partaking in destructive, self-sabotaging habits when it came to males, that I've actually, got to do a bit of work on myself and work a bit harder to recognise my self-worth, beyond what I already thought I had. Even so, to the point where I'm not even questioning dabbling in these ventures that are with men that just aren't for me. It's funny, I always like to think I'm pretty self-aware, and for the most part I am quite self-aware, but I think this is the first time in a while where I was doing something not very good and I wasn't really actually aware of it at all or taking any accountability like on my own accord. And so yeah, I'm going to just work hard to just, really just focus on myself. Like I did have Hinge for about 2 seconds and then deleted that. Did a bit of blocking and things like that. So hopefully, this journey or this, new revelation I've come across helps me and doesn't go pear-shaped, although if it does, sometimes that's life. And then I guess touching back onto what I was speaking about just before, the what's kind of next for me. So I guess just in terms of thinking, like I was saying, like in being a bit stuck or a bit stagnant in some ways, like it just ties into me shifting kind of my intense focus on feeling like I have to complete this one course to achieve this one goal for my future career and aspirations, instead of just thinking a touch more lightly on the little moves and things I can do that will still achieve my goal, but that goal kind of being, reworked, that I can instead make my life more meaningful, more purposeful by enjoying the quote-unquote dance instead of fixating on the end goal. The reference I just made there to dance is actually something that was mentioned in this book that I read, the courage to be disliked, and that's instead of thinking of life as like a mountain where we are just going, the goal is to just get to the top, and so you just go up the mountain, and then you get to, the goal is to get to the top. And when things happen or whatever, that's like little bumps in the road, but you're still trying to just get to the top. It actually comes down to a more simple sense of like, or another idea of like, instead of feeling like there's a ladder when you're with people, instead of there being like a ladder, you're actually just walking alongside each other. And so like with the mountain, in reference to the mountain, it's like, everybody's climbing up the mountain, and everyone's trying to get to the top the fastest, or in the best way, or whatever that may be, instead of kind of looking at it as in we're all just walking together, and some of us are walking up a bit ahead of, you say yourself, or some people might be walking behind you, but the idea isn't, you're not focused on who's in front and who's behind. Instead, you're more focusing on, well, we're all walking this journey together, like, and then it comes to the idea that, people are my comrades. You long for that sense of community, because when you have that sense of community, it's the feeling of, I can be here, and it's the feeling of contribution that leads to self-worth, and knowing that you can provide, or you can contribute to someone or something, which gives you power, or not power, can lead to happiness. And that there's many steps and there's many different ideologies, but I realised I was going way off track there. But I was talking about the dance, and the dance is just like, the dance of life, as they say, like that. You've probably heard a similar quote before. It's that life is a dance, and, just kind of enjoying the moments. Like, life is full of moments, so just enjoying the moments instead of hyperfixating on this one goal or this one thing that you think you have to do, because when you're so caught up on that, then you're not enjoying what is just happening, and you're not just letting what's happening attribute to the feeling of being free and that sort of thing. But this book I kind of already knew, because I've had like various conversations with different people over the last maybe year or so. But a good conversation that I had with my dad not too long ago was just thinking that he's trying to encourage me that I don't need to go to university, but being okay with a pathway that isn't just this one course at university to get me to this one career thing that I think that is what I want. Like, well, I know it's what I want to do, but it's just being so fixated on it that anything outside of that, or anything that doesn't work for me outside of that, just like really rattles me and just makes me feel, or just takes away from my worth if I feel like I can't achieve that, which is like, it's not a good thing. And so to make my life a bit more meaningful, or to feel like I am capable of these things, because my end goal is just wanting to help people. That's why I want to be a counsellor, is to help people. And because I want to be a counsellor, I wanted to do a Bachelor of Counselling at university. And so, but, I sent through my application, and my application got rejected, but it's all good in the hood. Because that, has just forced me to and encouraged me to kind of think, well, like, what else can I do? And then that's when, upon having this conversation with my dad, that I realised that, maybe I can do things like volunteering with youth, or just putting in a bit of work, even if it is, unpaid or whatever, to just get the experience, or to just get a bit of rapport behind me that isn't just this one piece of paper that I spent, 3-4 years getting, that I thought would just automatically lead me to what this thing that I want, or this thing I want to do. So that was really good, and it's good to have that positive reinforcement, because I probably did spend a big part of my life just feeling pretty like stupid and incapable of things, just based on how I've gone through life until a certain point, and just the way that the education system is structured, or at least used to be structured when I was going through school. But it's good that, well, I think it's good for me anyway, to be learning and growing and reading these different books, because I've only read 2 books so far, which is obviously a lot of people probably laugh at that, but I want to enrich my brain and absorb more knowledge and learn more about it, so that I can obviously make my life more richer, but also maybe be a bit smarter with it, not in the way that I have to think, what's the quickest, easiest hustle way I can make money, and then when I've got money, and then I can do this and whatever, but instead a bit smarter in the way of, well, obviously the university course is, hasn't worked out for me, and it's okay that this isn't an avenue I go down. Maybe I look at something else that can still, add to my, self-portfolio in terms of work experience or whatnot. Yeah, just build on that in little small steps that are achievable and are attainable and do fit in with the way my brain works or the way I am as a person and things like that. So that should be good. So going back to some of the key points that I was talking about from this book that I read, The Courage to be Disliked. So teleology versus ateology. I've forgotten what teleology was again, but I'll come back and bring it back to this. But ateology is no good because or at least I agree with what was written in this book in terms of it's not like a good thing, because ateology is based around cause and effect, so heavily relying on past and future instead of just focusing about what you can control in the right here and the right now, and not letting anything from the past or what's going to happen in the future be irrelevant. So for example, ateology is like, for example, this shitty thing happened in the past, that's why my life will always be shit, or this really messed up thing happened in the past, so that's why my life sucks now because I pulled this short straw when I was a kid or something, I don't know. But yeah, which I think is good because it's something that I don't know how or what I magically did, but I think was something I've started or I adapted for as long as I can remember, kind of like, obviously I have my qualms about having a late ADHD diagnosis and things like that have made me feel like if I had that earlier, then, my life would be better now or would be different, or I wouldn't have struggled so much in the past and things like that. But obviously I already know that that's not a good way to think, but even further believing that ateology is no good, like this relation is no good, because I have already kind of accepted a lot of things that have happened in the past, like, being bullied a lot in school and, having, many shortcomings over the years, where instead of it make me, an asshole or like a shit person or, leading to really bad destructive habits, because, I've had plenty, but just like not really bad, like on a heavy scale. But yeah, but I've instead kind of just always tried my hardest to not let anything that's happened in the past affect how I am now. I think I've mentioned before about just being really heavy on having a growth mindset and just, continuously wanting to improve and grow. And so in order to do that, you can't hold on to the hardships of the past or the not so good things from the past, because otherwise it'll stunt your growth and you won't be able to go further or beyond that negative thing that happened or that terrible thing that happened in the past. But obviously it wasn't really discussed in this book, but I do believe as well that, obviously it's important to understand and know when things have happened and know that, potentially things that have happened in the past have led to why you might experience certain feelings now, or why you might behave the way you do now, or the way you navigate relationships or things like that now. Whilst I believe that is true, it's like you can still understand and know that, but then it's still having the power to change or to work on it, or even to acknowledge it in a way that isn't, like I said before, this crappy thing happened to me, so that's why I'm shit and that's why my life will always be shit, or that's why I carry these toxic traits now, that's why I do this bad thing, or things like that. And so it's important to recognise it, but to kind of see it as I don't even know whether to say an explanation, because then if it's an explanation, does that coexist with being an excuse? Or I don't know. But if you have any opinions on any of this, please feel free to share and to interact with any of this conversation. Just share your thoughts and opinions, because like I said, I'm open to all the feedback and open to all sorts of conversations and things like that. I felt like I had a bit more structure with this episode when I've written a few things down, but I feel like I've somehow mumble jumbled my way into something completely different. But hopefully it's worth a listen, and hopefully it leaves listeners feeling intrigued or feeling that, they may have a few questions to ask themselves as well, because I think that's great. I think there's so much power in wanting to question things or being curious. I think, there's a lot of power in that. So, yeah, I'll probably leave it at that for today. But yeah, I guess to be fair, I think the main focus of this episode was just this book that I've read that I truly believe was fantastic and that has made me question a lot of things and has sort of helped me try and navigate my, not issues, but it's just helped me think about how I can navigate this next part of my life, which is where I'm growing, I'm learning more about myself, but in a way not learning as much about myself, but more learning about how to improve myself or how to make this, good person that I already felt I was, be a bit more stronger and build myself up a little bit more tough on the exterior. Because not that it's a bad thing to be soft, but I think it's an important lesson to learn, to know when to be soft and when to not let yourself be so soft that you are getting broken down quite easily. Because I've definitely spent many years of my life leaning into that softness to the point where it's really shook me and really broken me many times. So yeah, I shall leave you all with that. I hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode. Yeah, like I've mentioned before, please feel free to leave feedback, because I'd like to make this as interactive as I can, because I mean the reason why I have started my podcast is I like talking about things, but even more I like talking about things when I can share it with other people, but also when other people can share it with me or can give feedback or partake in the conversation. Hopefully maybe in the next episode I'll have a bit more structure and work a bit more on keeping things a little bit more on track and not going on too many tangents. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your days or nights or wherever you are. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.